Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, Camnet family. Welcome to the Economic Breifcase program. I'm your host, Lubinda Harazoka. Today, with me in the studio is my colleague, co-host, Mr. Noah Njapao. How has been the week?
The week has been good. We're getting back to normal. Things are running smoothly. Yes. Good evening, viewers.
Today's program is going to be, a wonderful program. Our guest today is, somebody that I've looked up to, somebody that the industry knows very well, somebody I think that needs no introduction. And this particular guest is going to help us break down today's topic, which is entrepreneurship and business development in Zambia. We are going to open the lines very soon, so keep watching and check out the numbers that are on the screen. People should send in the questions. We interact and see how our guest is going to help us digest the figures. Today's guest is Mr. NKHOMA. Mr. NKHOMA is former EAZ president. I like using that, that title first because I went through his path. He's an economist, renowned economist, financial analyst. He's a seasoned banker. I think he's one of the best, if not the best, in the banking industry. He's also founder of Better Now Finance. I think that we need to give credit to such Zambians. He's one of the few Zambians that have managed to do that. And I'd like to say it on TV today that I copy everything that you do. I copied you, you were EAZ president. I also copied you and started the microfinance. Oh. Mr. NKHOMA, good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Lubinda Harazoka, my friend, my brother. I think you are very generous in your accolades. And Noah, my young brother, I'm happy to be on this program, and I was really looking forward to it. And I think it will be an interesting conversation that we will have.
Yes. Viewers, traditionally, before we engage the guests, we normally discuss figures. Do you have any figures this week?
Yes, and I think we go straight to the market updates. What has happened today during the week, how much the kwacha is trading at against some major currencies. We look at the crude oil price. We look at some rental prices around the provincial headquarters.
Let's hope we are going to see the prices of Imboa, Imbeva.
Unfortunately, we haven't added those, but we shall do that. So the exchange rate, as of today, the dollar was trading against the kwacha at 17.19 ngwe. The pound was trading at 23 kwacha, 97 ngwe. The euro was trading at 19 kwacha, 98 ngwe. The rand was trading at 1 kwacha, 17 ngwe. So with the kwacha, we see it keeps depreciating.
We shall discuss that with our guest. He's an expert. Let's first finish off with a word, then we'll bounce it to the guest. For you viewers, pick your pens, your papers, jot down and see how the trends are moving.
Okay, so there we have selected metal prices. Okay, that's per ton. We have copper closed off trading at $9,965 per ton. That's a movement upwards of 2.27%. Then we have zinc trading at $3,645 per ton. We have nickel trading at $23,425 per ton. We have lead trading at $2,366. We have tin trading at $42,800 per ton. We have aluminum trading at $3,093. Then we move to the crude oil prices. We have the WT crude closed off at $87.37. That's a change of 0.38 from our last broadcast. Then Brent crude is at $89.97. That's a change of 1.53, $1.53. Then we go to our food prices. We'll start with millimil, 25 kgs, selling at 146 kwacha. Sugar is at 43 for a 2 kg, 27 for 1 kg. Salt is at 37 for 1 kg. Cooking oil is at 254 kwacha for 5 liters. Then carpenter meda is at 255 kwacha. Beans meda is also is at 130 kwacha. Bread 15 kwacha a loaf, and a tray of eggs is going at 68 kwacha. Then today we added another slide that shows rental prices in provincial headquarters. So we'll start with Kasama. That's for a 3-bedroom house. It's 2,500.
I think our director has last week rates. We will see if as the program progresses, we can get the prices for the various provinces. It's quite interesting what we are going to see. And if you have seen the trends, carpenter at how much? 250?
255.
255 per medan. Which one is better to eat? Nshima with eggs, or which one is cheaper? Me, I think it's cheaper to eat nshima with chicken than with carpenter. I don't know.
Carpenter, I think it's a luxury. Because I think it tells you actually the state of our fishing industry, and we still have a huge deficit there. I think we have over depopulated our fish stocks, and I know for a fact that the biggest, I think, catchment was, I think, Tanganyika, where we're having problems where we have not been able to contain and respect the fish banks. So I think these are the effects that we're now beginning to bear. So it also explains how China and the Far East is the one which is supplying the fish deficit that we continue to experience. So there's something that we're not doing right. Otherwise, we used to be, I think, one of the biggest producers of carpet and fish.
Viewers, you have heard it for yourself, and I know all of you, or a lot of you know who Mr. NKHOMA is. I know him. I think he's one of those that inspired me, to do or to study what I studied. I know him from his days at Finance Bank. I think that even though people know you, we need to know who is NKHOMA. Where did he come from? And the roots. And how he has reached where he is today.
I don't know whether I should call myself now politician slash businessman. I have been in the sector, finance sector, I think 36 years now. I am locally trained, although I did my tertiary education in the UK. And I have made my own little contribution to the economic sector of the country, as well as the banking and finance sector, rising from a clerk to an executive director, and being able to create our own financial institution and see it grow, then retire, go into other things, ending up into politics. But all in all, I think that we have, in a way, been lucky in the sense that Zambia has been able to produce some of the finest bankers who also have looked up to some of the finest captains of the industry. You know, when you talk about banking, the names which you cannot avoid to come by the late, may his soul rest in peace, Mr. Friday Njovu, the people who basically were able to inspire us when we were young to say at once upon a time, I would like also to run a bank. So the discussion that we're having today, I think, gives us an opportunity to be able to explore in detail what could we have done differently or what have we not been able to accomplish. I still think that Zambia has not been able to make the strides that we think 57 years after independence, the impact that the financial sector should have had on the overall performance of the economy is something which I think is well below what we think we should be.
Talking about the banking sector, when you look at how we have evolved and you know, your experience, I know you've been in the sector since the UNIP days.
Absolutely.
The MMD days. Yes. That is the Chiluba, Mana. You've seen it all.
All through up to where we are.
Yes. And I prophesy that very soon you are going to be, not, okay, let me not say very soon, because one day you are going to be Minister of Finance, because you know the financial sector, for example, like, you know, like your own backyard.
Yes, yes.
How is the sector faring in terms of development of entrepreneurship, development of business? What is the status now?
Doc, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think we will be very lucky to be somewhere around 4. And I'll tell you why. I've been privileged to have worked both in the mainstream commercial banking. I've also worked in the what you call microfinance sector. And I've been able to compare and contrast and see where the divide is and what we think that with hindsight, having been in the mainstream commercial banking, we did not do much to be able to support what you call indigenous wealth creation, wealth generation, and entrepreneurship in general. Now, one of the things that I think I'm afraid to say, if we continue with what we have experienced, what you call traditional banking, then I can assure you that not even the next generation will we be able to see a local millionaire. When I talk about millionaire, I'm not talking about a kwacha millionaire. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about a dollar millionaire. And this is what basically worries me. And I'll tell you what we've done wrong. Commercial banks have basically operated in a manner which does not promote indigenous what you call empowerment. Now, how I'm talking now from experience.
Yes.
We seem not to take risk. Now, what has propelled emerging economies is risk. But what has happened in Zambia is because of the fact that every entrepreneur, SME, when you enter a bank or a branch of a bank, when the manager sees you, what they are seeing is not a potential employer, a potential successful businessman. They are seeing a potential risk. They are seeing a potential risk to the extent that the way they do even the credit assessment, because I've been there, yes. So I know what I'm talking about. The way even the credit assessment is done is such in a way that it does not give an opportunity to a Ruvinda Bazoka to be able to, one, access, and I want to qualify this, I want to access affordable long-term capital. Affordable long-term capital. What we are basically giving are what you call overdrafts. overdrafts do not create wealth. If I do anything, for a lack of a better word, most of the banks that we have in Zambia are deposit-taking banks. Right?
Yes.
They are not playing their rightful role of what you call credit availability and what you call financial intermediation. They are not doing that. That is the more reason why, which I think we should be concerned, that banks are competing not to the extent of how many entrepreneurs are they being able to create or success stories of millionaire or entrepreneurs, but they are competing on which bank wrote the highest profit. Right? Which bank was able to take little risk to the extent that their non-performing loans are below what you call the international standard of threshold, which is just about 10%. That is a measure of their success. Not based on a genuine accessing of financial services to the banking public. They would rather you walk in there, deposit your money, but the same money they will not be able to lend to you because you are profiled as a potential risk. Now, let me just maybe summarize it in this way. If I want to put up a cement plant, I can promise you, with all the good business proposal, you will not be able to, that will not be able to see the financier. For the simple reason that you are considered as a greenfield. They would rather engage with you when tomorrow you become a Dangote.
But they don't want to make you a Dangote.
Exactly. So if you look at the ones who have been able to have a success story around banking, it's the West Africans. Because West Africans realized that if they don't create their own institutions, in the likes of UBA Bank, in the likes of Access Bank, Eco Bank, we would not have seen a Dangote. We would not have seen a Dangote. The ones who built and funded and continue to fund Dangote is a local syndication of banks in West Africa. Now, here in Zambia, the only thing that we have not been able to do ourselves a favor is that from the counter, Dr. Kaunda saw this many years ago, may he so rest in peace. He created an apex funding institution called Development Bank of Zambia. During the time of Development Bank of Zambia, that's how you saw true Zambian enterprises being supported and growing and performing, contributing to the growth of this economy. Came in what you call the multi-party dispensation. The thinking around DBZ changed. What happened? It now became a tool for political patronage to be able to favor those who aligned themselves to the political party at the time. It killed an otherwise vibrant tool which was supporting true Zambian entrepreneurship. And you will recall that it was during the DBZ time that you had Shonga.
Shonga Steel.
Yes.
Mwanamuntu investment. You remember?
Yes.
You had the likes of the Musa Siame group of companies. What was it called again? Musa Siame.
Yes, the ones who had, is it Musa Bakery?
Musa Siame, no. Yes. It was a huge group. That's when you had the kinds of the essential holdings.
Yes.
You know, they control the essential holdings.
The BYs, yes.
All those were a creation of DBZ. Now, DBZ more or less got obliterated and all the indigenization literally failed. Now, what we are seeing, Dr. Wazok, is we are seeing a very visible what you call market failure in as far as genuine financing of indigenous businesses is concerned. Government has got an opportunity to be able to revisit if they really want to empower. I know the president is passionate about genuine empowerment, but I can say it on this program that genuine empowerment is not handouts. It is not calling people in what you call cooperatives, give them fuel tankers, give them vehicles. That is not empowerment. We are getting it wrong because we do not seem to value the importance of letting these same beneficiaries or targeted groups to go through a proper training in terms of what entrepreneurship is all about. Entrepreneurship is not a situation where you just form a cooperative and you go and get a handout. No. You have to first of all be trained. How did I create a financial institution? Because I was trained. That is how businesses are supposed to operate. You cannot empower someone in a sector or a field where they don't have any knowledge. You are basically throwing good money after bad. So let us not make the mistakes that have been made before. If we want genuine empowerment and the supporting business development, where we create our own Dangotes, our own Musa Siames of those times, let us begin to say to ourselves, which channels are we going to use, where this empowerment is going to come from. We have got Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission. What have we done? The idea behind President Levy Morosa to create CEC, may he so rest in peace, was this same thing, that conversation we're having now, where he saw that there was a financing gap. The financial institutions were not coming to the party to support our own Zambians. He created the Citizen Economic Empowerment. Again, politics took a center stage. What happened? The ones who didn't deserve empowerment were the ones who were getting. You have to be a minister, you have to be connected to be able to get. But that does not give you capacity to be able to.
I can't lie to you, I've never worked, okay, I've been to DBZ before.
Yes.
I don't know where CEEC is, but I've received, when I was EAZ president, I used to receive a lot of calls. You guys are economists. Can you help us find capital? We have this idea. Some have ideas, some have capital, but no ideas.
Absolutely.
So we came up with what was known as the Citizens Entrepreneur Development Program, CDP. So CDP was supposed to look at, for example, it's a simple model, the ZAMBIA model. I can't keep the cattle. For example, I buy the cattle, give it to the villagers. They know how to keep cattle. I dip the cattle and when they come, they sell to me. So he said, let's go to, I want to support the point that you said about the cooperatives. And I think they don't work. So we said we are going to Wapura province. So we found private businesses, because you don't go with government. Government handouts, they are for free.
Yes.
That one, you know, it will never work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we found a private party. For them, they are thinking, I want a profit. So we reach there, the guy starts saying, this probably is government. It's for free. Some people even come to gossip, you know, this cattle that you are bringing here, it will be eaten, because government said this is private partner. So we ended up having a situation where the private partner could not even give away those things, because there was nobody to give to. The people were asking, so where should we take the cattle to? How do they eat? No training. No training.
Yes.
Yeah? From that point, it was a flop already. And we noticed it was you give equipment, you will never get, because they'll even go and sell in the neighboring Congo.
There you are. There you are. Anything given outdoor for free as a handout, just know that you are basically transferring failure. And one of the things that we have come out, which you have mentioned, which is very important and cardinal, is the training. But in this case, if we're talking about empowerment now, we are talking about the foundation of financial empowerment is what you call financial literacy. If you really want to help them, help them through a channel or a platform which basically is not seen to bequeath like a gift, but is seen to be seed capital for growth. Now, one of the things that I want to maybe just point to here is, for example, when there was the privatization, you were the Copperbelt that time,
yes,
Doc, of citizen, I mean, Copperbelt Energy Corporation. It was put on the market. Who did the government sell it to? The managers.
Yes.
They understood. They understood what it took to run CEC. They were in that sector. Has CEC collapsed?
No.
It's still running. And one of the success stories. So now,
government, please show me UNZA.
So you would find that we seem to be in a hurry to be, more especially the government, to promote what you call patronage, political patronage, but not knowing that it's not sustainable. It has never worked in the past, and it will never work. What we should be doing is that let us create true partnerships and empowerments. And one of the things that I think I want to say openly here is that if Dr. Hawazoka is good at running a university, he may not have capital. Let us create what we call partnership. Equity on one side, and what happened? Intellectual equity on the other side. So here, there's equity in the form of liquidity. And here there's equity in the form of intellectual contribution. Those are the partnerships that have built some of the thriving economies in this world. We are not, I think, short of capacity in terms of being able to execute on these things. And we should not be shy or to be in a hurry to say to ourselves, in this space we don't have capacity, let us bring the necessary expertise to be able to partner with us and be able to drive this forward. And I think maybe what will also be important to explore on this program is the things that I think we should do to be able to create that necessary liquidity to drive the economy going forward.
Actually, that will bring me to ask you a follow-up question.
Yeah.
You've been in an intersection where you're an entrepreneur, an economist, and you've worked for the banking sector for quite some time. Do you think we should move away from the banks as a source of financing for our small institution, for our SMEs? And if yes, are we supposed to create our own venture capitalists, those venture capitalists who are not looking for a $3 million deal for them to invest in you? Should we create our own?
Let us not even go far. Let us go to Zimbabwe under President Robert Mugabe. Do you know that there are more dollar millionaires in Zimbabwe, even more than South Africa? Why? It's because President Robert Mugabe, there was just two interventions he made. Educated the population, high tertiary level investment in terms of human capital. Secondly, they directed the central bank to be able to give what you call bonds to guarantee debt with the banks. That's how we are Zimbabweans creating the first what you call mobile company. You remember Telecom?
Yes.
All those. Now, to me, banks have failed the Zambian people. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm a banker, but they have failed. What government should do is that, one, we have got DBZ, we have got the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission. Recapitalize the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission and professionalize it and depoliticize it. Right?
Yes.
Three things you do: recapitalize it, and then professionalize it, then depoliticize Citizen Empowerment Commission. The mandate of the CEC is more than sufficient to create wonders in this economy. It's good sufficient and get, when I say professionalize it, get the right management, the right board in place, which is apolitical. Then use the Development Bank of Zambia as an apex financing institution and probably CEC to be a subsidiary as a disbursement unit of DBZ. DBZ should just be used to mobilize affordable long-term capital and be disbursed to what you call lending institutions. In that way, what you are doing basically is that you are creating domestic capacity with these government channels to be able to deliver the much needed impact in terms of local indigenization as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. Now, one of the things that why I've mentioned CEC, it has a footprint in all the districts. Now, why do you want to revert the way when you have already got a vehicle, but all you just need is to clean it up, give it life, and let it run? Now, what you now do is that you make it very clear, right, that the way the empowerment programs will be done through that same channel is by bringing in another government vehicle called the Zambia Credit Guarantee Company. Are you aware that there's such a company? Zambia Credit Guarantee Company.
No, I'm not aware that
there is. It's a company which was launched by Honorable Margaret Malakati when she was Minister of Finance.
What is it guaranteeing?
Yeah, that's a question. The Zambia Credit Guarantee Company was created to be able to deal with the risk that came with SME financing, to ameliorate or to de-risk exposure to the SMEs. Now, one of the things that you have to understand is that the biggest consumer of goods and services is the government. And because of the reputation that the government had built as a bad payer, that's how government thought, quickly, let's create the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme so that the banks now should be able to, the SME should be able to access affordable loans from the banks, which basically are almost risk-free. Because there was a guarantee from a government agency under the control of the Minister of Finance. So what basically the government was saying, lend NOEL 10 million. Because NOEL has a contract with the Ministry of Energy to supply fuel. We will ring-fence the payment to NOEL through the lending financial institution. And the vehicle that we shall use is a Zambia Credit Guarantee Company.
So is it in an instant where that company fails to pay, does the Zambia Credit Guarantee come in and foot?
Absolutely. Why? It's because your failure to pay is not that you have not performed or executed your contract. It's the pay or the person who is the beneficiary of your supply, which is government. And government is now saying, we shall stand in so that you don't have a bad credit name. The Zambia Credit Guarantee Corporation or company was supposed now to pay you, right? And they allow you to continue doing business. They were going to now interact with the Ministry of Finance and the government agency, which was a procuring entity. In that way, we were now going to have a situation where the banks were going to view or to profile the SMEs in a different way because they're coming with a government guarantee. So to me, why have we created an institution with so much pomp for 4 or 5 years This institution has never executed one transaction that I can think of. Never. You have got a fully fledged management in place. Operational, they are getting a grant from government, but they have not been able to make an impact on the market. So these are some of the tools that we have, which, to answer you, Noah, we can be able to deploy and be able to achieve what you call entrepreneurship finance, which is sustainable.
You know, I've observed that, you know, at some point, maybe a space of two years, I was ineligible to borrow money from a bank. I went to a bank and said, look, this is my salary, for example, it comes in every month. This is, for example, property, I receive income. They said no. The reason, probably where I work, they are in the blacklist. I said, it's where I work, not me.
But it's not you.
It's not me. You see? And for that reason, I have found that actually, do you know who's helping businesses? It's the microfinance institutions.
Yes. Because, Doc, one of the things that you should be able to understand is that you on your own, you're a balance sheet. They should not attach your net worth to your employer. You yourself, you're a balance sheet. You should be able to say, bank manager, listen to me, or hear me out. These are my assets. I've got 3 houses. My net worth is far much more than what I want to borrow. So look at me for in my true worth. What is my net worth? Not what I am earning every month. Your earning may be low, but you have got a bigger asset which is backing you. Mm-hmm. Let me just ask you, this is where the banks get it wrong. If I own a house, which I bought because of the generosity of government in Rotsbank, as a civil servant, house which is valued at 3 million, 4 million. I go to a bank, I want to borrow 300,000 to finish my flats in Chalala. Can I be so stupid to risk 3 million house for 300,000?
No.
This is where I cannot reconcile the thinking of banks. In other words, you are so foolish to risk a 3 million house in Rotsburg to borrow 300,000. And what are they saying? They are looking at what you are earning, not what you have as backing. In developed economies, which deepen financial jurisdictions, like South Africa, they have got what you call equity release. Because that asset that you have is equity. And what should happen is that based on what you have, which is backing you, they should be able to say, okay, you want 300,000 to finish your 2 flats in Chalala, we shall give you 300,000. But we know that it will take you 6 months to finish and to get a tenant. What we shall do is that we shall now give you what you call a repayment holiday for 6 months, so that the repayment now kicks in in the 7th month. Within that time, you would have expected that you would have finished your property, you would have gotten good tenants, and you have capacity. If your salary does not give you capacity to pay, with this enhanced capacity, you should be able to meet your repayment plan. And banks should be lending for success.
Not for failure.
Not for failure. But what is basically happening is that a bank already seeing a risk in you, and even if they are lending, they know that you fail. The thing that comes to their mind is repossession. So what we should be saying is that, any proper bank should have what you call a business recovery unit. Meaning that if your business has gone into trouble, for one reason or the other, today we are talking about what is this hurricane, whatever it is, which is
yes.
You may have what you call supply chain challenges. You may be expecting consignment coming from Beira. Because of this hurricane, whatever it's called.
The bridge has been washed away and...
Exactly. banks now should be able to sit with you and say, yes, you have got this problem. How do we resolve it? They should be in a hurry to offer solutions, not in a hurry to sanction or to penalize you. Banks are not having conversations with their customers. They are not.
So today I checked my account. I saw 0.25 million 25 ingwe SMS. So every time, for example, I receive money in my account, an SMS comes, I pay. I didn't know. Yeah? They are now calling it transactional banking. Two, there are a lot of people that come, brilliant guys with an idea. For example, there's one guy that approached me. He has a manganese mine. He has no grader. He has no tipper truck. He has an artisanal mine. And he says, I have manganese here. When I get a grader from somewhere, I make so much. So I sat down with him. He wanted financial help. So I sat down with him to say, how much is a tipper? He says, they charge me this. How much per day, how much can you mine? He says, okay, 2 tippers, 1 tipper, maybe 40,000. You know, I did some calculation for him. I said, is this verifiable? He said, yes. If you want to, put in your money, you go and see. So I said, okay, if you take this to the bank, are they able to help? They say, no, no one even wants to listen.
Yeah, and it's true.
How can you help those people that are watching today? He has an idea. He has a chicken run, or he wants to do what? He has a bankable project, and you test his. He has the skills. Maybe he has worked in the sector. How can we create an environment for those people to access resources?
Yes, I think that is a very cardinal point that you raise, and from what you are telling me, I see an opportunity for a bank to create another millionaire, right? Only if the banks can change their thinking. And I'll tell you why. If, for example, somebody already is holding on to a mining license for magnesium,
yes,
and he's got title for the land where that asset sits, that asset itself should be security. Only on condition that the bank can prove that he has got a ready off-taker, right? Meaning a buyer.
Yes.
A buyer, there is a signed contract with a buyer who is financial. Financial can be ascertained and proved that upon delivery, there will be an exchange of value in terms of money. So what a bank should do in that case is to be able now to prefer what you call or profile solutions. Reach out to the potential buyer or the off-taker. Our client has got this asset. Are you willing to buy it? Can you demonstrate that you have got the financial capacity to be able to honor the contract? That's all. And how do you demonstrate? You get the bankers to the off-taker to give an irrevocable undertaking that upon delivery of so much quantity, this specified the grade, you'll be able to cause to effect an exchange of money. So that is the role of banks, what we call financial intermediation. So in that way, the bank will now be able to finance the grader, finance the working capital. And if the bank still believes that they cannot trust NOEL, for example, with, let's say, $1 million, they can do 2 things. Do not disburse cash, but disburse the materials that are required to be able to execute the contract and appoint their own independent mine manager who is going to secure and monitor their interest. The time I was sitting at Finance Bank, we funded a milling company. A milling company in Chisamba. And I won't mention the name, a prominent businessman, politician. And because of the fact that he was a politically exposed person, we thought to secure our interest, we appointed an expert, retired milling plant manager. You know, Interco used to have so many milling plants.
Yes, yes.
We called one gentleman to help us to say, we have financed this client so much money, but want to secure our interest. We are going to put you on our payroll and go and run the plant together with the client. Yes. But you will be in charge of the operations and you will be a co-signatory to the accounts. Until such a time that the loan is repaid, shall your contract come to an end? It worked very well. Within 2 years, the loan was repaid and walked away. The same we did for a big hotel on the Copper Belt. So these are possible financing options, which if only a bank has got appetite to genuinely support local businesses, there are so many scheme of financing arrangements which can come to fruition.
But right now, as it is, we don't have any Zambian indigenous bank. And these banks we have in our market, especially most of our commercial banks, well, they're headquartered somewhere else.
Absolutely.
For them to change how they do their business is very difficult. And as you said, when we started, that for us to create millionaires, we need to have our own institutions.
Absolutely.
And right now, we have no institution, we have no Zambian indigenous bank that can actually do, or that we can compare to do what you're saying.
In fact, to be honest, no. To me, it's a very regrettable development because I've been in business. I'm still in business. Mm-hmm. And I know the pain and anguish that genuine Zambian businessmen go through to be able to access credit. Now, again, we are saying that we are running a liberalized economy. And I think to take a heavy-handed position on the commercial banks will again be viewed as interfering in business.
Exactly.
But I think, like what I said, there is a genuine market failure by the players. Because this, to me, is discrimination, for lack of a better word. And I'll tell you, again, I'll give an example. A friend of mine secured a franchise for a very, a global real estate business. And she went from bank to bank to try and secure financing. This is a true story. From bank to bank. I've got this global franchise real estate. All I need is $300,000. I've got all these clients lined up waiting to do business with me. Within 1 year, I'll prepare this $300,000. Just look. This is the portfolio. No bank was able to entertain her. She had to partner with a person of a different color and work with that person in the first bank where they tender down. She was given. Not on the strength of her business proposed on the franchise, but the partner that she had brought. So that is.
We are our own enemies.
Elementals. And who are doing these things? Our own Zambians. Who are running these banks? Yes. So to me, it's a fixed kind of thinking, which basically suggests one of the two things. Either they've got no authority or mandate to be able to do what their titles suggest that they can do, or it's lack of confidence and trust in the Zambian business. That's what it is.
In Russia, for example, you are working with I was working with my friend. Then he said, you know what, my car is not working and let's check. So we entered the showroom and there was a Mazda 6. He liked it. He asked the price. They said there's another one that we are using for test drive. They are selling it minus 20%. You know, he went, He had his own, they call it passport. That's the NRC. He showed them where do you work. He gave them the details. They called. Those people said it's true. He works with us. We thought it was a show. After 1 hour, the guy had bought a car. So in the showroom, there are different places with financial institutions, and they were lending, just giving out money. They didn't say, where's your pay point, where is your what? Why don't those things happen? Because banks, yes, we cannot tell them to just be giving loans anyhow. There's an issue also of credit culture among us.
Yeah.
What do you think we can do to improve Zambia's credit culture? People, when you borrow, you go and pay back. What can we do? Okay,
Doc, do you honestly believe that Zambians would want to go to borrow not to pay back? Do you honestly believe? No. And I'll tell you why. Go to Kalingalinga here. Just even tomorrow. It's a Friday. I won't name the bank. There's a bank in Kalingalinga. Go to Kalingalinga, sit in that branch for 1 or 2 hours. See the people who are working in settling their loans. These are ordinary marketeers.
Settling their loans.
There's a queue for ordinary marketeers, ordinary traders going in to settle their loans. Interview 3, 4 of them. They'll tell you, me, I borrowed 20,000. They gave me 1 year to pay. It's now 8 months. I'm paying the last installment.
And you actually see these institutions making profit on those small margins from
what
these marketeers.
I'm saying to you, go to Garden. There's a bank also. The model is such that they don't look at who is living Davazo. They look at what is it that you want to be helped. Now, if that bank is able to attract this kind of clientele, people who may not even know how to write, but the bank is making a profit. Why is the model, the way that bank has been modeled? I don't want to mention the name. I just want to see there are many banks, but just go there and see. Tomorrow, 8 hours, you see a queue outside. If there are 20 people, ask even 10 of them, have you come to borrow deposit? They'll tell you the chance that almost 50-60% are repaying their loans. Not because they have been threatened with beliefs, they have been threatened, no. Out of self-evolution, self-motivation. Because they'll tell you, Wanati was that tikalipira 20,000, tingatenge 49. So that business, that is what is missing.
We put an advert to say you are coming to this program, and there was one comment under a picture saying, let's hope we are not going to talk about welders and carpenters as entrepreneurs. Which areas do you think Zambians should be investing? Don't tell them about our sector.
Actually, just to add on the so-called industrialization of our economy and repositioning for the African free trade area, how can entrepreneurs actually benefit from that, and what exactly would they venture into for our economy to benefit from the free trade area?
Yeah, to me, free trade is export. Right? If
Yes.
we remember the program, no, you opened it with the exchange rate.
Yes.
That the exchange rate is the, showing some signs of misbehavior. That tells you that there's a serious challenge we're having as a country, and as far as export drive is concerned.
And I'm sure you and me, we are shocked when people are blaming government
Exactly.
for that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It tells you that we've still got, because it's a mono economy. Luminda is an expert in terms of mining how the mining sector has performed over the years. But I think, to me, the question that you raise, when it talks about free trade, it's telling you the international market there is ready for business. And what do you think? It's agriculture.
Yes.
Now, if you have to go to agriculture, no. One of the things that we are lucky as Zambians is that we have command of the three what? Means of production. We've got command. The land.
It's ours.
It's ours.
No problem.
The labor.
It's ours.
The Chinese are coming here for the same cheap labor.
Yes.
That you and me are not seeing. Right? And the three, the missing link, capital. Right? We have got command. The money which these banks are lending, it's Zambian currency. It's ours. But it's only that it has been made difficult for us to access. How do we do it? The government still has got a role to play. And I've said it time and again. In any sector where there's a market failure, government has to step in. The stimulus was a good initiative. No doubt about it. I was reading in the papers yesterday that the Bank of Zambia has disbursed another 9 billion. Excellent. But I think that the commercial banks have not behaved where this stimulus is concerned. Because if you do an audit of who has received, whether it was 30 billion, I can promise you.
It went to treasury bills.
Not treasury bills. Yes. It went to the big players in the economy. I won't mention the names. I know. It did not go
it did not trickle down, basically.
No, it did not go to Mr. Chanda, who is growing cashew nuts. It did not go to Mr. Zimba, who is running a quarry mine. No. If the Bank of Zambia had to do an audit of where that 30 billion went, I don't want to mention names here. There are huge corporate entities, huge, where their balance sheets can be able to access capital from outside the border without difficulties. But why? They found cheap money. Because they couldn't lend a cattle farmer from Mulowezi, because it was a risk for him to build an abattoir, a processing plant, what you call value addition. They thought it is a risk, let us give it to an already established multi big corporate. That's what has happened. So now, how are we able to address the missing or the deficiency? Is for government to be able to do what I said. Let us target the small entrepreneurs. Now, I think you're talking about, let's not talk about welders, let's not talk about what have you. But I think for us to create a Lenko of yesteryears, remember Lenko was a huge enterprise under the Indeco Group. It starts from there.
Yes.
Right? Because Barclays Bank, if you look at the history of Barclays, it was a microfinance company. A family owned little, one branch microfinance hotel. What is it? It's a global player. So we should be able to.
I'm following your footsteps.
Yes. We should.
Where I normally write down.
Yes.
When I see somebody performing, me I copy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we should be able to say the welder there is as important as a person who has established themselves. But like what you said, number one, agro, value addition. Right? Let us look at what you call consolidation. Then two, let us identify those areas. For example, areas to me which I think will be able to drive this country forward is agriculture. But we need long-term, affordable capital finance. The bank should not ask you for collateral beyond the land that you have. Right? Because land has got value if it's put to use. That should be your capital. Are we going to have a situation where in Kaunda's days, and I'm proud to say it, we had the biggest agro-export company in the name of Chiwote.
Yes.
The Chiwote Group. It used to export into Angola, into Europe, Mozambique. But what happened is because the Chiwote Group was able to access cheap financing from DBZ. So I'm
Actually,
still passionate.
Later I would like to ask this question. You've mentioned quite a number of companies that existed back then. Chiwote, Shonga Steel,
Manamuto Investment.
Yes. I think later, after we finish this, I want,
yes, and you know,
just want to know why don't we still have those companies now? Is it that us as Zambians don't know how to mentor people to take over a company or structure a company in such a way that
like what Doc said, appetite is there, but the playing field is not fair. First of all, do you understand that at one point, at one time in the history of this country, all the defense forces never used to import uniforms? There was one company, Sirius.
And one
Sirius was probably bigger than the mine. It was bigger than the mine in Russia in terms of the number of people that it employed.
It employed, yes.
Sirius, a local company. You would go into London and buy a suit made by Sirius. Our own cotton, spin that Sakiza spinning, owned by the Manamuto Group. A Zambian, owning the biggest spinning
moving encyclopedia.
Yes.
where are those companies?
Now, what I say, the government had a delivery policy, buy a Zambian, promote Zambia. All the National Service, Zambia Army, Air Force, whatever, were all placing orders with it. Serious. That's how Sirius was able to create the much needed economic impact in Rwanda. That after the closure of Sirius, Rwanda has collapsed.
So Rwanda had Sirius,
yes.
Gilma, Hume,
yes.
Machco,
all those.
Zanefa. It was like, you know, Rwanda was small, but look at the industry. And they were huge.
Huge. Why? Is because we had dominated. But now you find a procurement officer from a defense force going to Hong Kong to look for uniforms. Are we being serious as a country? The answer is no. Right now, for your wife, the chitenje that your wife wants to wear to go to a kitchen party, she has to get from, is it Kasumbalesa? Where is it coming from? Congo. But previous, you remember textiles? What Mulungush textiles. Yes. It used to export into Comesa, into Sadak. Kafio textiles. You remember? City clothing. Now people are even importing school uniforms. I'm told from South
Africa.
It used to be city clothing. It's still there. So we can harness. We've got capacity, but we are just not doing the right things. And to me, it talks to deliberate government policy.
Maybe I think that social media has killed us. Instead of us thinking how to create business, well, how we are talking about how we can trend. Yes.
Yes.
Viewers, we are watching Economic Breifcase on Camnet TV. We are now opening the lines. You can call through, and when you call, your name, where you're calling from, and strictly your question or your contribution. You can also send us text messages on the numbers that are showing below the screen. Director, if there are any messages, maybe we can read some as we await the callers. Hello, people. Me and my two friends have a bus that we run together, and we really want to grow our business in transportation. How can we assess the youth empowerment, and what advice can you give me?
Okay. I've taken note. Another one?
And the next one? Hello, Dr. Wazoka. I like your topic and your guest, especially Mr. NKHOMA. My concern, however, is that it is very difficult to spur indigenous entrepreneurs, let alone develop indigenous Zambian businesses in an environment where government policy in a capitalistic set up favors external foreign investors. As an example, why does the government allow chain stores like ShopRite, Pick and Pay, open outlets in places like Matero, Kamanga, or even Kabwata? Simply put, of what value to the Zambian economy have the chain stores? The chain stores that indigenous Zambians cannot do to run, for example, shops like ShopRite.
Okay, I can take those.
Yes, first let's listen to our first caller. Just to write them down.
Hello?
Hello, your name and where you're calling from, sir?
Hello?
Hello, your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, my name is Christopher Mlenga.
Yes, sir.
Christopher Mlenga.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Chris.
I'm calling from Madrid, Lusaka.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm one of the local entrepreneurs. I run a small construction company.
Okay.
I've been following the program, and I feel good that this country still has people like one NKHOMA who can articulate ideas very, very well, and is one such person who can be very helpful in terms of giving help to small and medium enterprises. So, Dr. Wandoka, my one sincere contribution to the program would be that Zambia has made several strides backwards for the simple reason that we have not put the correct policies in place, government after government, and for a long time. And I would want to say that it's very simple to make strides forward. Like you will see a lot of steps backward, you can also make several steps forward. Provide for cheap capital and provide for cheap government financing. And all this put together would be the vehicle that is going to take the small businesses forward. No, very well articulated the fact that when you just walk into the bank, they look at you, they think that you are a risk, other than the potential that you are carrying with you. And it's so heartbreaking that you also give another example where just because you call a bankable document that can create wealth not only for yourself but for the bank. The fact that you come with someone with a different color, the bank will believe you. So let's see how best we can harness our small and medium entrepreneurs and see how they can grow.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. NKHOMA.
Yes, I'll start with Mr. Christopher Mlenga, and I know Mr. Mlenga. I could tell from the voice he's been in construction for some time now, and I know the struggles and the challenges that small, medium contractors continue to face. And I think if we have to achieve what you call an SME transformation, we need to be able to listen to the voices of those who are already in the sector and trying what they can do. And one thing that I can tell you is that as far as the government policy towards what you call 20%, what you call?
Subcontracting.
It's a failure. It's a total disaster to the point that I'm not being in any way disrespectful to our brothers, the Chinese, but I think they have taken this country for a ride. They have abused it to the point that every Zambian who was at that 20%, what you call, is basically been a front. For lack of a better term.
Some of them are just paid.
Exactly.
They just go and
now, look at, first of all, listen to me. How much money has gone into infrastructure in the last 5 years? How much money?
About $8 billion.
$8 billion, right, has gone into infrastructure. Now, let's take 20% of this 8 billion.
Me and you are going to be
What is 20% of this 8 billion? Right?
About
almost, if not mistaken, $600 million.
Yes.
Can you point to one Zambian who is a billionaire out of the same contracting? One Zambian contractor who can stand up and say, I was a subcontractor at this international airport, KK International Airport, and this one. They are basically taking this country for a ride. The entire 8 billion has gone back to the Chinese. It's a fact.
So, meaning that they would be promised such 20%,
what
and
we
they
need
would
is an
be given half.
effective, legally binding, what you call partnerships going forward. I know the president is passionate about seeing Zambians building strong, real partnerships. I think we have just demonstrated that even after 8 billion infrastructure going into this economy, you cannot point to one contractor. All of them have worked out with petty cash. That's what it is.
Yes.
That is what it is. So I think, Chris, my brother, all is not lost. We think that the government means well, but let them walk the talk. How do you walk the talk? You now begin to recognize that there is a genuine market failure where long-term, affordable capital is concerned. Let government step in. I mentioned that if a person like Chris can be given a contract to build with this CDF a hospital for 2 million, all he needs to do is to, with this contract, walk to the Zambia Credit Guarantee Company, get a guarantee against that contract, walk into a bank. What you have done is that you have cleaned up Chris. You have de-risked him. And if the bank is not comfortable to give him the money, to whatever, let them directly pay the suppliers of the materials and only give him working capital to pay labor and other little operating overheads, fuels and what have you. In that way, upon the completion of that contract, there will be retention. From the 2 million contract, Chris may retain 700 million. What will he do? He will move on to the next contract. He's building capacity, employing more Zambians, paying his taxes, creating opportunities also for others. That is what we need. The issue of the bus transport, I didn't even get the name. I am proud, Dr. Noah, to say that if there's a person who has contributed to building a bus company, which is now a pride of the transport sector, I built Zambia Malawi transporters. From 3 buses, now they're boasting of 15 buses. No bank wanted to lend the money. They came, I financed the first bus, brand new from Hazida, Marco Polo bus. Second, the time I was leaving, we had done 5. What is their fleet now? 15. The biggest carrier on the Lusaka-Chipata route. So even you, my brother, who has got 2 buses with your brother, don't give up. You believe that that business will grow. Tomorrow, you become bigger than Zambia Malawi. The good thing is that you have demonstrated your passion for the sector and that you can be able to do it. That to me should be sufficient equity for any serious financier to be able to look at your story. I only wish I was still in that space. I would have been more than happy to help you. But all the same, reach out to Dr. Wazoka. He knows where to find me. We shall try and see how we can best be able to help you. I like your story.
Let's speak one more.
There's one more about the ShopRites and pick and pay and what have you. To me, I think it's not the right thing to do, because what you are doing basically, you are stealing opportunities from Zambians who should be able to command those what you call suburbs. Because at the end of it all, when I was growing up, we are proud of people like Katungu. You know Katungu? I think that place is still called Katungu.
Yes, it is.
He was the ShopRite of that area. Is it Chilenje? Chilenje. Then you had in Kawata, there was Nkuka, another big Zambian who had another big shop there. Matero, where my grandparents used to stay. You had the Happy Data, you know, Happy Stores, you know, New Londe Motel, and all those Masiri. Zambians who were able to make an impact in those whatever. So I think to me, it's a genuine cry, and I think let us now begin to say to ourselves, what is left for the Zambians?
We have another caller. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Andrew Jr.
Yes? Okay, go ahead.
I'm calling from Waidimunga, Northwestern.
You can go ahead.
Please, I would like, I'm following the deliberation is quite constructive, which can really help our country economically.
Thank you very much.
So, even individual level, we really need such kind of topics and such kind of great men who can come and highlight on certain things that can help individuals and also the nation as I stated earlier on.
Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes?
Can you help me? Which business venture is appropriate in, for instance, a new district? For example, like in Kele, just a new district which could be a good business venture, that kind of a district.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I take that?
I think we have another caller. Okay, we can take it.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'm happy that you are following this program. And I can probably say to you that I'm the one who brought the first bank in Munyurunga. There was no bank there, I think, if my memory serves me right. I took Finance Bank to Munyurunga. I camped in Munyurunga, supervised the construction of the branch because I realized that you were being deprived of an opportunity to access a banking facility. So I think to you, my brother, if I were you, you seem to be business minded already. If you can start a block making plant at industrial level, just count. Ikerangi is a district. You are receiving 25.7 million. CDF. There will be clinics to be built there. There will be hospitals to be built. There will be schools, renovations. My brother, don't even waste time. Run to your nearest business consultant. Let him do up a business plan for you. Procure at industrialized level because the demand will be so much that you may not even have capacity. And if there are people already making blocks there, they may not even have capacity. Jump in now when the gravy train is about to take off.
Mr. Director, do we have any messages? Good program, bring it every week, if not already happening. How can one access affordable capital to expand lodging business to open lodges in several towns. Have you seen people thinking big?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mr. NKHOMA, where do you work? If I was president, I would appoint you commerce minister. We need your brains in Zambia. Please, HH7, do something.
Thank you for the appointment.
I'm enjoying the discussion and learning a lot from all of you and great insights from Mr. NKHOMA. Keep it up. We have a call.
Hello, Dr. Amado.
Yes, good evening, and your name and where you're calling from. But I think I'm guessing.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Amado. And good evening, Mr. NKHOMA and Mr. Jabal.
Good evening,
Good
sir.
evening.
Thank you for joining in.
Yes, my name is Emmanuel Miti. I'm calling you from Mufrida.
Ngamafikiri mulishani?
Tulikuwa Mwaji baba, Mr. NKHOMA.
Yeah, utilipu ino mlitiani baba.
Tulikuwa
Pepani, pepani.
Yeah. I wanted to find out from the three of you. This program is very interesting, and it requires you to bring it down to our level in the district. Zambia has got 116 districts, and the new government is rolling out CDF in this district. Now, how best would you assist the government of the day in terms of educating the entrepreneurs and the upcoming youth, those who intend to tap into this CDF fund, especially that government on its own, for lack of better way, is limited in terms of rolling out the program so that they can sensitize and educate our youth, those who are yearning to tap into this CDF fund. Now, looking at the way you are putting up these programs which are coming on Camnet, why don't you roll it down to the districts like you say you are the way where you can have small seminars in various constituencies of our country so that more youth can tap into this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Mitch, I think you are perfectly spot on, because you see, if you recall in our opening remarks, we talked about the importance of what you call capacity building, or what you call financial literacy. This is money we're talking about. And money not as basically what you call handouts, but money to be worked for. And before we think of getting any tangible results from the impact that the CDF will have in the respective constituencies, the cooperatives, Dr. Wazoka shared with us his experience with the cooperative. There's serious deficiency in capacity in cooperatives. But I think, to me, yes, the government has already rolled out this program, we cannot stop it, but I think we should still add an element of what you call financial literacy, and over and above that, capacity building. You know, we have got trade schools which are spread all over the country. There are trade schools almost in every district. Let us make use of those trade schools. They give courses in carpentry, plumbing, bricklaying, and so on. Government, through the respective ministry, I don't know whether it's they fall under Ministry of Higher Education, begin to recapacitate these trade schools so that these entrepreneurs, the cooperatives, should be put on what you call fast-track programs. Dr. Wazoka is a consultant. There are many people like us who can be able to offer, at no probably consideration,
Yes,
for free, training where financial literacy, where our expertise lies, financial literacy, so that it's complemented with the artisan training. Because if you are going to give my cooperative 2 million to build a school, I can assure you, without the prerequisite training, you are throwing good money after bad. Every year you'll be building that school. You'll be building that school. So let us say to ourselves, this is a good program, but let us build capacity in the cooperative. So at the end of it all, if they have to build a clinic, they should know what to call those things that they use in building to make sure that the building
Spirit level.
the level. They should know what a level is. All those things are very important. How many shovels or is it wheelbarrows of sand with one bag of cement? Yes. All those ratios, they should understand. Because at the end of the day, we should rush this program. The entire good intentions of the president and the government will go to waste. Thank you.
We have a caller.
Hello?
Hello. Good evening. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from Florida.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from Florida.
Yes, sir.
Hello? Good evening, Dr. Majoka.
Good evening.
How are you?
Oh, we are doing fine. We are trying.
Okay. Karambani, what about themselves is, you know, the time we have to. Rama, company has found exposed.
Kafironda.
Kafironda. And after one start, we can have more than 2,500. If I pick up, I want to go out. That's machine and that's what I'm South Africa. So, still the privatization in Gabon got to study promoting to South Africa. When they go with some of the questions in Gabon, they go to never place back around the island where the Kulu, but privatization, that's what I'm saying.
Thank you very much. I am quite.
Okay. Now, there was an earlier question on the lodges.
Ah, yes.
Yes, I think we apologize that we did not take your question or give your response. I think to me, we still have a serious shortage of what you call decent accommodation. And I can only encourage you, my brother, or is it my sister, I don't know who it is. If you're in that business, perfect what you're doing, first of all. Perfect it to the point that you can replicate without major difficulties. And choose your markets in a way that you have done proper business assessment. For example, there are areas or districts which lack decent accommodation. I can tell you that. And I don't know where you're calling from, but just make sure that you pick your markets, but perfect what you're doing. And I'll give you an example. If you go to Southern Province, there's what you call Golden Peel.
Yes.
I believe they started with one little lodge, but if you going to Southern Province, from Mazabuka, I think 3 towns, Monze, then Choma, you find Golden Peel. Why? Because when they started, they had to first learn the ropes, perfected it, and they were able to replicate it. To the point that any visitor who goes into those areas that I've mentioned, the name of Golden Peel will resonate because it's a brand that has been built over time. So even you, my brother, build a brand and begin to grow that brand. So that when you move to another town, they should be looking out for your brand. There's another one, I think, which is also indigenous, Crossroads.
Yes.
You find it, I think, in Kitwe, you find it in Dola,
Chipata,
Lusaka. So they tend to grow over time. And I was unfortunate that I know the promoter of Crossroads. I remember very well, many years ago when I went to open, to negotiate for land to build what is now Atlas Mara, that time it was Finance Bank, in Imongu. The only decent accommodation I could find was Crossroads. And I was able to interact with the owner. and encouraged him to come to Lusaka. What has he done? He has moved beyond Lusaka, Kitu and all. So I think, to me, it's building a brand. That is what is important. The brand will sell itself. And there's an issue again, Kafironda explosives. Yeah, you are right, my brother. To me, if you look at even there was a company on the Copper Belt, Score Mini, they used to make those whatever. Score,
Yes.
Is it still there, one?
I've never heard.
Yeah. So we had all this industry. It was an industrialized economy. But because of our propensity and appetite to import, that is what has killed our domestic economy. You are talking about 2,500 jobs. That is huge. That is huge. Now you can imagine, one company was creating 2,500 jobs. What more these others which also went down? So what we should be saying now is that let us begin to identify opportunities which we think that with the government backing us, we should be able to lock in contracts. Because what Kafironda needs to create Kafironda, all that needs to happen is for government to say, you set up a plant. When you set up a plant, we are going to ban importation of explosives, as long as you assure us of quality and the right price. If not, to allow for what you call this, trade agreements that we have entered with so many countries and so many blocks, we can simply hike what you call the importation tariff to allow for our domestic industries to grow. So that tomorrow, instead of Kafironda being owned by, let's say, ZCCM, it is owned by NOEL and yourself as a company. We create jobs, we are paying our taxes, and we are able to contribute to the growth of the economy.
You're watching Economic Briefcase on Camnet TV. I promised Mr. Noah Nkoma that I'll hold him only for an hour. I know I was lying. Director, maybe we can pick the last messages. Good evening, Mr. Nkoma. In Zambia, we need to introduce and improve business policies that will protect Zambian businesses. For example, how do you allow foreigners to engage in clearing and foraging and also chicken rearing? Those businesses should be left to Zambians. Your take, Mr. Nkoma. Regards, PS. Mr. Nkoma, you were in the banking sector at a very high level but failed to implement what you are saying. Joe Wembia, Dollar.
Okay.
I'm enjoying the program. Talk of the Chinese, the way they are ripping out from our economy through the extraction of copper and yet pay Zambians peanuts. These small-scale miners supply Chinese copper for almost nothing. Kindly advise KCM to engage these untapped resources. Kobe Chingola. Dr. Wazoka and Mr. Nkoma, those good ideas from this program should be incorporated into the government programs to promote national economic development by linking the points raised from this program to the national economic agenda. It is going to be unfortunate if these good ideas will end up just as a TV discussion. Ike in Ufurira. By the way, this person is a senior person in the current government.
Oh.
No, I'm talking about you. Good evening, good program. How can I improve in my farming business? The access to farming implements
Acquiring a tractor.
Yes, acquiring a tractor. Good evening. I'm enjoying the program. I would like to engage with Mr. Nkoma. I love the way he's articulating issues. He's so objective and having personal contact with him would mean a lot. If it's possible, I'd like to reach him. I already know where to find Dr. Awazok. Good evening, panelists. I have a 0.9 hectare piece of land in Chief Mungure's area. What kind of agribusiness would you advise? Machwane, Lusaka. Sell me that land, Mr. Machwane. I'm looking for land in
Mr. Machwane, Okay, I'll quickly go through. I think the first one was in terms of policies. Government, I think, has got more resource. All of us are resources to government, including yourself. So definitely, I think government is hoping. I mean, I'm hoping that they're listening in, and I happen to also, like what Dr. Wazoka said, interact with them from time to time. So we will share these ideas. We continue to share them. Joe Wembia, you are saying, Mr. NKHOMA, you were in the bank at a very high level, you failed to implement. Joe, I can assure you that during our time at Finance Bank, there are so many Zambian projects that we promoted, which up to now, they still continue to make an impact on our local economy. So it's only that I may not be able to mention, because there's what you call a banker-client confidentiality, which I may not be able to just maybe mention 1 or 2 or 3, but there are so many that we did, which is some probably, if the program allowed, they would be able to give testimony. So we played our part, and we are proud of that. The other one, I think, is to do with the farming. Yes, farming remains the bedrock of our economy going forward, and I think, to me, it is just to be able to identify what space you think that there is demand, and be able to just move it there. But I think the only inhibiting factor remains capital. So my plea is that let the Technical Minister of Finance help the minister to be able to find a solution to long-term capital. And if that is difficult, use and build capacity in the Zambia Credit Guarantee Company. And one of the things that I would like to see, which I want to take advantage of this program, somebody talked about Pick and Pay, ShopRite, and all those. You see, Zambian people genuinely want to do business. But I'm sad to say, Dr. Wazoka, that some of the trade rules of engagement with these companies do not favor Zambian entrepreneurs. Why do I say that? If I'm a Zambian, I'm producing eggs. The likelihood is that I'm buying feed cash, which means every day, if I have to produce 200 trays, I have to find money for feed, 200 trays. Zesco won't give me credit, I have to pay for electricity. My workers will not whatever. But what government should do, and listen to me very carefully, compel these multinationals to give favorable trading contracts or terms to the Zambian entrepreneurs who are struggling. How do you do it? You compel them by saying, if a Zambian is supplying you eggs, for example, I know the capacity to supply ShopRite is huge. You encourage them through some cooperative to consolidate. Like, for example, people in the Kanakatapa who are into egg production, consolidate, but government should guarantee them a contract to one of these outlets. And say, ShopRite, for your outlets in Chilenje, Matero, and maybe Kanyam, the eggs will be coming from these farmers. Give them a contract, pay them within 48 hours. Capacity is there. Why subject them to payment terms which are 60 days? You are basically positioning them or setting them up to fail. They won't have capacity. So they'll supply you one and they have to wait to 1 day. What happens? They go into debt, and the business collapses. Give them favorable terms, pay within 48 days, give them preferential treatment. So to me, this is how it will even build a very good relationship with these whatever. The Zambians are able to benefit. Then I think lastly, the issue of Mr. Machwani talking in terms of he's got land, like what I said earlier, it's a question of identifying what opportunities exist. The market is huge. It's available only if you can be able to tap into it. I thank you.
As we close, as we come to the end of our program, Mr. Njapao.
Yes, Mr. NKHOMA, as our last question, I would like to ask on behalf of our youth, our entrepreneurs, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur in Zambia? Maybe this we encourage our young entrepreneurs to actually focus on investing for long term as opposed to having one deal so that they could drive a VX or a Range Rover.
Yeah, that is important. I think I've shared this many for us. I became an entrepreneur myself through what you call having a belief that I was going to succeed. And I did succeed. But what you need to do is that it's a pity, like what Dr. Wazoka said here, that the issue that keeps on haunting us is the issue of capital, because you need something to start. But I think, to me, if you have an idea, don't give up on knocking on people's doors, right? Access some of us on this program. We can probably be able to lead you where you can be able to access. I've helped people secure financing because I believed that what they were, the business proposition had made a business case, which was ready and ripe for financing. Don't give up. 2, is self-discipline, right? Self-discipline is very important because self-discipline comes with trust. Are you disciplined to be trusted? Those two go hand in hand. So I think I would like to encourage you, my young brothers out there who want to venture into serious business. You should be true to yourself that you want to succeed, and you want to succeed in a honest way. So with those, I think, to me, the issue of capital, always say to yourself, don't get tired of knocking. Somebody will listen to you one day.
Camnet family, you have read it for yourself. Discipline, you need to believe in yourself. And he said one thing that is very, very important. Make sure you make money in a legal way, in a normal way. Otherwise you'll be searched. You're watching Economic Briefcase on Camnet TV. I was your host, Luvinda Wazoka, co-host Mr. Noah Njapao, and our great guest today, former president of the Economic Association of Zambia, financial analyst, economist, seasoned banker, future Minister of Finance, or Bank of Zambia Governor, Mr. NKHOMA. Join us after next week. Next week we're going to be having crusades, so we'll be with you. After next week, continue watching Camnet TV, because Camnet TV is not just another channel. Thank you very much.